Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my little internet show about whitewater stuff. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what I'm carrying in my PFD. Modern PFDs are really cool because for a lot of reasons, but one, they have pockets, lots of cool pockets. And back in the day, we had these little PFDs that had a tiny pocket here if we were lucky to carry a bunch of stuff. And now we have some cool options. And because of that, we're able to carry more safety equipment on our person, which is super important. But before I get started, I just want to remind you, please take a second, hit the like button if you like this. It helps other people know that this video exists. And also subscribe so I can have a bunch of subscribers and feel super cool, which is important to me and hopefully important to you that I'm feeling cool. If it doesn't matter to you, don't subscribe. No, subscribe anyway. You should so I feel good about myself. So anyway, just to get started, this is where I'm carrying my PFD now in February 2021. I do change over time. Sometimes I carry more stuff, sometimes I carry less, just based on what I'm learning, what I'm doing. But I feel like this is what I'm going to talk about is a good setup of what most people should have. So the first thing is a whistle, and this is so we can communicate with people, whether communicating with them, let them know there's a danger. When the river's loud, sometimes the whistle is the only way you can communicate. So you should have one. And historically, we had what's called the Fox 40 Classic. All my PFDs had this. It's a P-less whistle. Whistles used to have a little P in there. That's how they worked. Fox 40 figured out how to make a sound without a P in it, so it'll work when it's wet, which is key. Well, Fox 40 now has the Fox 40 Sonic Blast. And this one's super cool because it's the same upside down, has like a nice thing to grip onto here. What are your teeth? That wasn't very loud. It is louder. I'm afraid to blow it super loud right now. And it's just like, it's kind of cool. It's like a nice shape. And so I'm having the Fox 40 Sonic Blast on all my PFDs. I choose to put mine right here. I can get down to it pretty easy if I need to. A lot of people tie them on right here. I think not having these hidden is important. Somewhere you can easily get to it when you need to, not like in a pocket or something. Somewhere accessible is key. So that is whistles. Next, there's an old adage that says if you're going to use ropes, you should have a knife, right? If you're a guide or a rafter who's using throw bags and ropes, you should have a knife on you. And I feel like most rafters and kayakers should. I wouldn't say commercial guests on trips should. If you invite your friends along and they're not experienced, maybe they shouldn't have one. But the rest of us probably should have one because we're around ropes, or we can be around ropes. And you can have an external knife or an internal knife. I choose to put mine internal, which means in my pocket. I'll show you that in a second. Some of you may want yours externally mounted. I don't like that because one, a lot of times when it's on the outside of my PFD, if I'm pulling myself back up into a raft, it gets caught or just gets caught on stuff. So I'm not a big fan. And also the message it sends. I'm trying to be a guide and show up as friendly, look like I'm somebody comfortable to be around. And so if I have a big knife on the outside of my PFD, it can be intimidating. So however you have your PFD, I think it's important that you can deploy it with your eyes closed with one hand. So let me show you what that looks like for me. I know my whistle's here. I always can pull this down. I can pull the other side down. I can get to my knife. I know right where it is because I practice with it. And I can open it with one finger. With one hand, I mean, lots of fingers, one hand. And so that took me a few seconds. If you have an external knife, you can probably shave a second or two off. And if that's important to you, have the external knife. Again, I think I can get to it quick enough. I like having it in my pocket right here. I also really like this knife. This is the Gerber Easy Out Rescue Knife. It's very nice serrated edge. It's nice to handle. I cut well with this knife. When I have to cut something, it just fits in my hand well. And it's a sharp edge. A lot of river knives are river knives, but the edge isn't super sharp, or it's hard to get a good grip on the handle. So that's something I think is super important for your PFD. And I know exactly where it is, so I can deploy it pretty quick with my eyes closed with one hand. So next, I carry sunscreen and chapstick. That's just me. You don't have to have that. Probably should though. And also, I carry a CPR mask. I did a video a few weeks ago with a doctor who talked about CPR. And when people are drowning, there's this foam that just keeps coming out of them. And you need a barrier between yourself and that person so that the foam isn't just getting everywhere. These are small, they're cheap, they're easy to store. And so modern CPR masks are pretty similar, similar is the wrong word, pretty simple and pretty easy just to store in your PFD like that. Oh, and here's my sunscreen, or my chapstick too. So that's what I carry in this pocket. I could put more things in this pocket, like the things we're going to talk about in a minute, but it just all gets messy and complicated. I like to keep things in here simple and also Maybe I'll put a camera in here, and usually some snacks. I like to have snacks around, just in case. So the next thing would be a flip line. And historically, we put flip lines around our waist. They were webbing. People say, you could get them caught on a tree or something. I think that's a consideration. But I just don't like putting it on every time I paddle and taking it off every time I'm done. And I just think it's hassle to have it around your waist. So I'm a big fan of these new flip lines. You'll see in this pocket here, pockets on this PFD are sometimes annoying to open. I wish on this Palm PFD they'd use bigger zippers because these ones get stuck and these side ones get stuck a lot. But anyway, I love this Palm PFD because it has awesome pockets. So this is the PFD I'm wearing when I go rafting most of the time, and I can quickly access my flip line, right? Instead of having to undo it around my waist, or in the Astral PFDs, I have to reach around to this little side pocket and do yoga just to even have a chance at opening the zipper to get to it. And again, in the Astral vest, you could put this in the center pouch, but all of a sudden this just gets full of all kinds of things. So I like having this separate so when you pull it out, all your stuff doesn't come out with it. But anyway, this is a modern flip line. This is made of some fancy material like Dyneema or something like that. And for me, this is the size I need to basically clip this onto a boat's D-ring or its perimeter line, lean back and pull like a 14-ish foot boat over. I can get a 13-foot boat over. I can get a 16-foot boat over with this length. I've sized it to me. You have to figure out your own size on your own. I really like these black diamond magnetron carabiners because they use magnets. They open up super easy, clips on super easy, comes off really easy. So when I'm flipping a boat back over, I like things to be quick. So quick access. I don't have to worry about locking and unlocking. This is super easy to use. Flip it over and go. But flip lines are useful for so many other things. I can use this to make a 2-point anchor on a raft between D-rings if I'm stuck. If I'm ashore, I can use this to tie an anchor around a tree. I can also, if I'm pulled over by the side of the river and need to quickly hold onto my boat, I can pull this out, clip it onto a D-ring, and just have a short line for my boat. Or if it's a quick line around something, there's just so many uses for this. I've attached it to my kayak and drug my kayak places. So I really am a big fan of having this flip line for most boaters, just somewhere that's easily accessible. And I'm a big fan of this. I've done videos about it before, and I just love this PFD because it fits right there. And because of that, I use it all the time because I have easy access to this pocket. It's right there. Again, my only complaint is the zipper is sometimes it's stuck. So next, if you're a safety squirrel like me and you know how to use pulleys and mechanical bandage and stuff, it's also nice to have stuff to build a Z-rig. Now, I historically carried none of that stuff, and I recently tried carrying all the pulleys and press you need for a Z-rig, and I've kind of toned down a little bit. And the reason is I like to float when I swim. And so if I have all kinds of metal stuff in my PFD, my head's just going to be a little bit lower when I'm swimming. I personally, because I like to stay alive and I like to when I swim, be able to breathe, I want my flotation to be as much as possible. So anything I do to put more weight in this PFD potentially puts me low. That's just me. You may prefer to have a full Z-rig over floating. That's your decision. But my decision is to have as much flotation as I can. And so for me, I think the right balance for my personal uses is to have one prusik, one carabiner, one pulley. And these are super light things. This is a very light Rock Exotica pulley. This stuff isn't that heavy. But what's really nice to have one of each because I can show up on a scene and I can set up a 2-to-1 with this. I have this and I have my flip line. So I have my anchor and I have this stuff as well. I can do some sort of redirects. I can do some basic stuff with this. Or if I show up to a scene where we're going to end up doing a 3-to-1, I can get started, right? I can set up the anchor on the tree. I can attach the pulley. I can run a rope through here. I can make it self-minding. So I can get the process started. And then somebody else, when they come, they hopefully have the same stuff. They can do the next step of putting the prusik on the haul line. And then if somebody else comes, they can then do the redirect. So I'm starting to feel like those of us that are safety squirrels, if we all have this isn't enough to do the whole system, but this is enough to do a lot. And with a team of people, we can really do entire systems. And so if you want to be a full safety squirrel and have all this stuff, you can put it in a little dry bag next to you instead of having it in your PFD. So this is something I would say is optional, but I'm noticing as I carry this with me, I'm using these things more and more, especially when they're accessible here, right? When they're in my astral PFD and I'm having to do my super yoga to get to it, maybe not so much. But when it's right here, the other day we were doing lining a raft down a rapid, and I thought, man, if I just use a pulley really quick, I can solve a problem. And so I pulled the pulley out, used it, put it right back. And so having easy access to this stuff, for me, is kind of nice. So just as a recap, things I think people should be carrying their PFDs, and this is mainly for rafters, right? Would be whistle, knife, CPR mask, Flipline, and if you're a safety squirrel, make sure you have a Prusik pulley carabiner. And of course, also having a throw bag. I think this is the new WWTC throw bag. This is comes with a waist bag, so I can carry it on my person. And so when I have this, there's another right here. There's another carabiner right here. So when I'm carrying this around my waist, I have a haul line. I have 3 carabiners. I have an anchor. I have a Prusik and a pulley. I can do a lot with that system without carrying a lot more stuff. So those are my thoughts. That's what I'm doing now. If there's things I'm carrying that you think are stupid, please let me know. If there's things that you think I should carry, other ideas, put a comment down in the comment section. The last thing I want to talk about is our safety vests, our rescue vest or rescue harnesses. You'll notice this has a rescue harness. Now, I've been trained on how to use this, and so I haven't trained with this exact PFD. And so I just like this PFD because it has cool pockets. I don't necessarily personally place a lot of value on this because I haven't trained with it yet. And the reason that's important is because I've trained with my older PFD, but if I have to go out on a tether with this PFD, I don't know 100% this is going to hold me because I haven't practiced with it yet. And I also don't know 100% if I release it, it's going to let me go. And so for me on this PFD, I'm not going to use this in a real situation until I've taken that time to practice, which I intend to do. Now, when I use my Astral, I have trained with that one, so I know how it works, and so I am willing to be untethered. But one important thing is if you're going to have this, not only get the training to use it, but before you use it, train with that exact PFD so you have the tension set right, so it does release when you want it to release, and it doesn't accidentally release when you don't want it to. The friction here is really important. So that's the last piece of this whole PFD thing. Anyway, thanks for everybody for joining. I like doing these shows. I appreciate everybody who's left nice comments and a discussion. And please leave more comments. Tell me I'm an idiot and I'm wrong. Tell me, man, you're brilliant. Keep it up. I love hearing that too. But it's also funny when you tell me I'm an idiot because I think that's funny. And yeah, that's the end of this episode. And look forward to doing more here soon. Thanks.